Jacob Roth here, and it is Fridays in the Fields, brought to you by FNBO, the Great Big Small Bank. I'm here for our final edition with Matthew Oelofse of Emerge Custom Ag. So Matt, we've kind of have a whirlwind every year. It's your first year planting for your own. You've obviously helped with operations in the past. This is your first year going out on it on your own. You had sorghum. We're not obviously at the sorghum spot anymore, but some things kind of went weird, kind of recapping the whole year. You went into it excited. What kind of all happened throughout the year? What are the things that you remember and you're going to take away from it?
I suppose this year is kind of being more of a learning experience than anything else. Looking back now, I've seen some guys kind of go in and harvest their dryland corn a little bit, and the yields are not really great. So I am grateful I did sorghum because I at least made a little bit of money. Obviously, it's a really drought-resistant crop. We were gonna, when the last time we spoke, we were gonna go in and put some rye down. And we haven't had to yet because for some reason we had a little bit of rain and the Milo's back up to 12 inches. But I mean, for me, it's just more of a learning curve, kind of learning what to do, what not to do, getting your chemical program right, getting your timing right and everything. Because if you wait too long, it kind of just bites you in the butt later in the season.
You know, and that was something we were talking about off camera before we got things started. You were kind of like, it's almost heading again, the sorghum that you've got out there. It's had a couple decent rains. Obviously, you said earlier that last night you didn't get a whole lot of rain here in the Amherst area. You said you thought about cutting it again. It was really poisonous to the cattle. What was the whole thing going like working with the farmer when it came to getting the cutting the sorghum and knowing if you wanted to silage it or not?
Well, I mean, obviously we came through and we cut it and baled it. For a certain price an acre, we just felt a fair rate was good. And just because of that weed pressure and the shatter cane we had, we decided to obviously cut it and feed it. We then, about 6 weeks later, when we saw the sorghum was coming back up again, farmer actually came to me and asked, can I graze it? We did a little bit of testing on it, came back very toxic for animals. So obviously can't go that route, but when I was up there 2-3 days ago again, it's shot up to a foot tall and it's putting heads out again, which is really surprising. Obviously knew it was pretty hardy and really drought resistant, but for it to pop back up and start heading out after 6 weeks of being cut is really surprising.
No, really impressive, and like you said, a big learning experience is a thing that you've kind of taken away from this year. But one thing, you're also helping with a larger operation than your own. Kind of a weird conditions here as we haven't had moisture at all, and now we're starting to get some moisture here. What are you guys what's your plan for going about things? You've got some dry land, you've got some irrigated land. What is your kind of approach as you're heading out here, kind of helping with that operation and taking over as much of it as you can?
I mean, we're obviously grateful for any rain we can get, especially now later in the season. I mean, as you can look here, we cut a little bit for silage, but at least this moisture will help the corn and beans finish out. We don't have to run the pivots as much to finish. But obviously we'll just be looking at what corn we planted, what varieties kind of go day by day and kind of see how everything's drying down. I mean, obviously we don't have drying capacity, so we obviously don't want to take it to town and pay a whole bunch for drying fees and all that. So we kind of just going to play it by ear here day by day. Maybe go out, hand shell some corn, kind of take it to town, test it and see what we got moisture-wise. We don't want to jump the gun.
And when we pulled up, you were doing some maintenance on the combine, things like that. What is the role that you've kind of taken on helping this farmer with the maintenance side of things?
Well, I kind of do all the equipment maintenance, kind of doing inspections on all the equipment, pre-harvest, pre-planting, kind of making sure we have all the correct parts, we fix the correct things. Obviously not trying to waste money on things that ain't needed, but trying to obviously maintain everything so that we don't have any issues through harvest, through planting season. Just making sure all the gearboxes, chains, sprockets, everything's kind of ready to roll. We don't have any unforeseen issues halfway through our first quarter. Obviously that's the goal, to not have any problems and just keep rolling, but I mean, it's farming and you never know kind of what might happen. But yeah, just kind of keeping everything ready to roll and keeping everything moving.
Yeah, so kind of to sum up this year, this is going to be our last time with you. Obviously there's a lot of the season left with the entirety of harvest and even a little bit more of the growing season. What is one thing you're going to try to do your best to take away from this year, whether it's from how you've been helping the larger farmer or even with your own? What's the one thing you really want to take away from this year or this growing season?
I think from this year I've learned a lot more about chemical programs and trying to implement a system that's actually going to work for each field, not just doing a broad spray and just expecting it to work, kind of looking more at what each field needs and what you've got weed pressure wise in each field, kind of learning from my own mistakes as to be a little bit more cautious as to what we spray and maybe be a little more intense with my management. And also, I mean, you got to spend money to make money, so try not spend too much, but at least put enough chemical down to do a good job, but kind of not put you in a hole.
Absolutely. And again, that was Matthew Oelofse for the final time. I'm Jacob Roth, and this has been Fridays in the Fields, brought to you by FNBO, the Great Big Small Bank.